Hello, and thanks for joining us for another Five Things podcast. I'm here with an awesome special guest, Jason Link, Delta Force, badass, American hero. And thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
You and your son flew out here from Fayetteville,
Fayetteville,
North Carolina.
yeah. Been there a long time.
And thank you, Brian Carter, by the way, linking us together. This is a real treasure to have you out here. And so, a lot of people are going to know you or know your story from the movie Black Hawk Down, which I thought was well done for a military movie. I'm curious to see your perspective one little bit later in the podcast. But so often you see military movies and there's just tons of stuff. It's like that would never happen.
Right.
Or you see like brass, shiny,
Right.
stuff in the middle of the jungle. Like, who made this?
Right.
But thank you for joining me today. And just to jump into a few things, before we get into that, I brought you a gift. So I know you're a cigar guy. So the one thing I wanted to ask you before I present you with this is, were you like a wuss in high school and then you smoked some premium cigars and that helped you develop this badass?
Tobacco it's the magic drug, isn't it?
Okay. All right. So is that true or maybe? Or
Yeah, it's a little maybe.
Maybe-
Don't inhale. That's all.
Do not inhale.
Do not inhale.
We cover that just about every podcast. But here's a humidor. It holds 10 cigars. So if you're traveling, you got to have your trusty Boveda pack, keep them fresh. Got you a little cutter here,
All right.
which I'm sure you have plenty of those around the house. But I brought you 5 cigars here to start you with. We got the Elijah Smith Swift cigar.
Nice, very nice.
We got the Aljamain Sterling Funkmaster cigar, former
Aljo
champ.
in the house.
Aljo, there you go. And Little Monster, Vanessa Demopoulos, Little Monster cigar. She's a Little Monster, obviously. I got the Cody Stamen Spartan cigar,
Cody.
the UFC legend, yeah. And the Clay Guida, another Hall of Famer.
Another Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Although you smoked this one the other night, and you.
I did.
That's right. We got to talk. I should have brought a different one.
He's got his haircut now.
Yeah,
He's
you know what?
a little Tasmanian devil.
Shout out Clay Guida. We actually I just reminded myself of that we Clay actually jumped on.
Yeah.
We had cigars, just for everybody that's watching. We had cigars. What was that, about a week ago?
Yeah, Bruce Chris.
In Ruth Chris, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Clay was good enough to jump on a FaceTime with you.
In between, he's got that new show, the Brazilian, the jiu-jitsu tournament now.
Well, he's doing wrestling tournaments now.
Wrestling, that's what.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing last night, and but Clay's got his Gills and Thrills, his fishing service, and he's a wild man. He's always outdoors.
Super nice guy on the phone, though.
He's salt of the earth. But thank you for joining me.
I appreciate that.
I know that doesn't offset the plane ticket out here, but thank you for joining me.
And price on spending time with you.
All right. We'll do dinner tonight on me. Yeah, but just jumping into this. Just getting a little foundation. Of course, everybody wants to hear the cool stuff and the stories and some of the lessons learned and things like that. But where'd you grow up originally?
My dad was in the Air Force, so I didn't go to the same school 2 years in a row till I got to high school.
Okay.
So that was before stabilization that they do now. They understand the family's important in the military and a strong family structure with not moving all the time. It saves money, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was every year
Constantly,
something different. But I landed in Houston, north side up in Humble. Went to Nimitz High School up in the Spring area.
So you consider yourself kind of a Texan?
I am a Texan.
Okay.
I am a Texan.
All right.
And big fan of the Astros. So
your dad was in the Air Force?
he was.
He didn't want to join the military, or? Just kidding, Air Force folks. Air Force guys are badasses too. But
yeah, no, it really is. I've got a daughter. We talked about it a little bit, but she went in the Air Force.
Okay.
She wanted to go in. I said, you got to go to Air Force because it's going to be nice and cushy and soft. And
yeah. Hindsight's 2020.
Exactly.
I think if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't change anything because I think we're all where we're supposed to be. But the smart move would have been Phoenix, Arizona, like direct assignment to Luke Air Force Base.
That's where she was.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
She got totally screwed. It was incredible.
Screwed? How so? She was supposed to go somewhere else?
She just signed up
Okay.
to the needs of the Air Force.
All right.
She wound up loading bombs on airplanes in Phoenix
Okay.
at 120 degrees on a tarmac. She's a tough girl.
Yeah, it gets a little warm
Love
out
her very
there.
much.
But in hindsight, I would have been right there around my family, friends,
Yeah.
my girlfriend at the time, all that kind of stuff. But everything happens for a reason, right?
Exactly.
And so you decide, How young did you decide that you wanted to go in the military,
Um, I
if you
was
remember?
I was a troubled child. I got kicked out of 4th grade.
Okay.
Had to go to private school for a couple years. So my parents couldn't afford it and got sent back to Gen Pop.
Okay.
It was a tough road to hoe. So graduated high school and went to Texas A&M. Thought I'd give that a shot, and I lasted a year.
Okay.
A lot of partying.
Partying, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I had to move back home, and I was a hardware automotive guy at Target, going to community college. Had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew this was not it. One day, just took out my red vest and my clip-on tie, drove to the recruiters, and said, "What's the toughest thing you got?"
Okay.
"Oh, do this, do this." No, no, no. I want this. So I went infantry.
You want to be who?
Yeah, just I needed my ass kicked, and I needed something because I was just spinning. I was lost, and it was terrible, and that was the best decision I ever made.
Awesome. What was it, as a youth, you just, like, had energy that you felt like you needed to channel, or
Um, just yeah, I was just I'll probably talk about it a little bit later. I can kind of reframe it for you a little bit,
Okay.
but I think it's something common in guys like me, the guys that join the military, and it takes guys like us, and it can shape them and discipline and put them on a path that they need
Okay.
to do. But yeah,
I mean, obviously, you're an alpha, so,
right.
military's a great way to shape and mold that for sure.
Mhm.
Um, speaking of that, we talked about that. You've got a son that's planning on going into the military, or
Yeah, he's 22, senior at NC State. Go Wolfpack.
okay.
Um, but we talked about it, and he's not a troubled youth. He's loved. He's a wonderful human being, very thoughtful, great guy.
He had a great energy just meeting him for a couple minutes.
Yeah, and our thing is we watch UFC fights together,
Okay.
and we know the fighters. We talk about it and stuff like that. And I could see him. I wanted to get he. We all need a tribe. Everybody needs a tribe.
Yeah.
And he didn't have it. He played basketball in high school, but didn't develop it. He go to college, get in a fraternity, gets in, everything's going great. He gets hazed. Now it's his year to do it, and they get kicked off campus and disbanded because of hazing incidents.
Oh,
So
really?
it's like
Okay.
that tribe just never developed. So we're like, no, the Army's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And the war's over. New president, no wars.
Yeah.
It's a good time to go in. And so when he graduates college, and he works with his hands, he's gonna run his own business. That's what he wants to do, but we're just not there yet.
Okay.
And so he's gonna go in, get 4 years, and
Get a
just
good
get
foundation.
yeah, going in the Rangers. He's gonna try out for RAS.
Okay.
So I probably told a few too many stories, and he's trying to follow those footsteps a little bit. So
RAS.
RAS, Ranger Assessment Selection Program.
Okay. I wonder if that's what RIP was back in the day.
I went through RIP.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
same thing, just
yeah.
different
RIP
acronyms.
is now RAS.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Well, that makes sense. That's how I know, I guess I'm getting older,
Exactly.
They're not using, was it TA50?
Right.
Some of these things
Now
I
you're
haven't said
bringing it
in,
back.
I haven't said in so long,
Right.
it's crazy talking
TA50.
about it. TA50. Yeah. Real quality stuff. But, um, what are your thoughts on someone? Obviously, your son's joining the military, so you've got I'm guessing, a pretty positive outlook on it. But I guess being prior military, I'd rather be in the military now than say 3 years ago, to be
Right.
honest. But not to get political, but
Well, just war in general.
yeah,
No matter who, George Bush, who I was a fan of.
Yeah.
You looking back like, what the hell are we doing?
yeah, just getting in wars everywhere.
You want your kid to die in Ukraine? Yes or no? Nobody does.
No.
So what
Yeah.
the hell are we doing?
Right,
Whose kids are we sending?
right,
So it's a good time. I mean, we still got to keep peace. A police officer still has to police. An army guy still has to be ready to fight.
right.
But the odds are we're not getting blown up in IEDs, and it's a little bit different now.
Right.
It's never safe. We lose guys in training. and
Sure.
all that, but yeah, it's a good time period to do it.
And I hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
One of the things, then again, I guess we could talk about it. Like, I just don't think positively about NATO right now.
No.
I don't feel like a lot of the people involved in NATO are working to avoid wars. I feel like they're almost instigating conflict. And personally, I feel like Trump is more of trying to be a peacemaker, trying to be the deal maker. I mean, that's Trump in general. But there could be situations where push come to shove, Trump's going to have to throw down the hammer to show we're not going to, to take a quote from George Washington, fuck around and find out.
Right.
And George didn't actually say that, but you know, I just, he's strong enough to do it, but I believe he's a peacemaker, and that concerns me if I've got a kid thinking about the military.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better now than I would have said 5, 6, 10 years ago, even under Bush or Obama,
Right.
either one of them. So
Yeah.
so you feel pretty good about it overall right
Well, I
now.
wish they'd bring back the 2 or 3-year enlistment.
Mhm.
I don't want them to go away for 4 years,
Sure.
but I think 3 would be a good number.
Which is
And
what I did.
if you want free college? Yeah, but it's not like, "Hey, gimme free college." You want free college? Do 4 years in the military,
Right.
and you got free college for life. You've got all sorts of benefits. You've got so that you can buy a home with no money down. I mean, just everything.
There are great benefits, and
Great. The
outside
military
of,
does a lot of good stuff.
in addition to the attitude, and like, there's so many things that I carry with me today, like inspect what you expect,
Right.
or don't come to me with a complaint unless you're bringing a solution and you're willing to implement the solution. Like, those are things that I learned in the military,
Exactly.
because everybody can bitch and moan and piss and complain, but what are you going to actually do about it?
When you take a group of people, I say men, but people, and you put them under some stress and they survive, and they have each other and you build this thing, now you have something,
Mhm.
and you learn, okay, it's not, it just gives you a little, and whatever your MOS is, basic training is hard for, because you're a regular civilian, all of a sudden you got some guy yelling, screaming,
Sure.
and you just kind of bond together. And you may never see those people again in the rest of your life. I
Right.
don't know anybody from basic training.
Right.
But you just start learning that there's something to life, and you understand working for a team, and you have adversity and you survive. Wait, it's not so
Mhm.
bad. So if you took people and you do 4 years, you get out, now you get free education. It's a win-win for America.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I'll say about the free education, because I got the Montgomery Bill and U.S. Army College Fund, basically they took $100 a month from my paycheck
Mhm.
for the first year. The one thing that I'm I guess I'm still a little bitter about is I went to apply to use my benefits. Now, I had kids at an early age, and when I got out of the military in 1995, I went right to work because I couldn't not work.
Right.
And 2004, I went to Sanford or San Lee Community College.
Yeah.
I was going to take some classes, use my GI Bill. Back then, it was like I could get $1,600 a month. I was going to start taking some business classes, some accounting class, like things that were going to help me develop as a business owner. And they told me I had 3 months left in my benefit. And
That's a VA special right there.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
So I felt like I earned my college, and I had it taken away by the
I
government.
thought you had 10 years to start it, not 10 years to finish
They
it.
told me it was 10 years.
Wow.
And so they're like, well, you can start it, but you got like 3 months worth of benefit. And I was just salty.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's like that today.
Now
Maybe.
they've taken care of the guys. The post 9/11 GI Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, you can give it to your kids. You can hang on to it forever.
Well, good. That's what should
They
happen.
take care of the troops now.
So they got over on me, Uncle
got
Sam.
screwed.
Yeah, I got screwed over, but it's not the only time the government's got me, but probably not going to be the last. But that's something I like to put out there, and I'm glad they're doing what I consider the right thing now.
Yeah.
That's where, it was one of those things, people complaining about free college. Like, there's opportunities to get
So
college.
much. Yeah.
You still got to earn it though. And so, in any case, what are some of the things that you would think that you learned? Let's call it the first 5, 6 years in your military experience, like some of the mindset, attitude type things you learned.
I always wanted to go to war.
Mm,
Always wanted to. I read the books when I was a kid, the Green Beret books, and Vietnam was like, that was something I wanted to do. But back then it's a peacetime army,
sure.
right? Vietnam was over. I graduated high school in 84.
Okay.
So failed out of college, kicking around. I joined the Army in 87. But
Okay.
still, that's a peacetime army. There's nothing going on.
Sure.
And you train for it. You do all this stuff. And that's something I really wanted to do. And when I was in basic, I had to go to airborne school. And I had to go to this little meeting. And I had this ranger. And this is, again, 87. So they wore the OG 107, the jungle
Mhm.
thing. And it was spit shine, boots.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he looked badass. He said, if you're tough enough, I can get your orders changed. You can go to Rangers. You can go to RIP.
Yeah.
Ranger indoctrination process. So I said, oh my God, I got to do that. And I went and did it. Volunteered, made it to RIP. Now I'm in a battalion.
Where'd you end up? Is this Washington or
Third.
Third, which is
Third
Georgia.
Branch Battalion, Fort Benning,
Benning,
Georgia.
yeah, Georgia. Yeah.
So I go to basic Benning, I go to AIT at Benning, I go to jump school
School
Benning, I
Benning.
go to RIP at
That
Benning,
was convenient.
and then I get assigned to Benning. So I was like, what the fuck, man, this sucks.
So much about joining and seeing the world, right?
Right.
So you end up a battalion, and you're there for how long, roughly?
I did 4 years of battalion, but it was 25-cent pitchers of Killian's Red on a Thursday night at the Chickasaw Club off exit 4. And I'm drunk, get in a bar fight, all that stuff, break my hand.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's terrible. Next morning, graduate BNOC, because that was a graduation party.
Okay.
Go to the doctor, get a cast on my hand is broken. Sunday night, get alerted, we're invading Panama.
Holy moly.
The entire life I waited to finally go to combat. I got a cast on my arm, and I show up. I'm my platoon sergeant, great dude, Sergeant Chuck's like, you want to go, you need to get that cast off. So we go and cut it off with a bayonet. I go, I can pull a trigger, I can throw a hanger.
Cut it off with a bayonet.
Yeah,
Wow.
I still have the cast. I never
so
keep
cool.
anything. I still have it. It's crazy. And 25 C-130s going into Rio Hato. So they needed every jump master, just 4 per bird. So they needed every jump master qualified guy, which I was. So Sergeant Chuck, he let me go, and I was a jump master on bird 4 jumping into Panama. And got done with that. And yeah, it was a combat jump and all that, but it wasn't combat, you know? We did it, but there was no conflict. It was just, and so that itch hadn't been scratched.
Right.
Went back, long story short, after 4 years in Ranger Battalion, a platoon sergeant, Rick Shuck again, told me about Delta, went to a briefing, heard about it. I said, that looks cool.
Next level. Cool.
I volunteered for that, made it. And so December 91, moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I still live today.
Okay.
Sadly enough.
Do you know a Jim Sikora by chance?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I don't know why I never thought to ask you that. Anyway. So I heard this, and I've never had it confirmed. Is it true when we were jumping into Panama, they didn't even give a reserve?
Great question. It was optional.
Okay.
And I was a jump master, and I don't even know who said it was optional. The
Okay.
word just got around, it was optional. Some guys jumped into Panama, 500-foot combat jump, 25 C-130s.
Chute
Imagine
opens
what
and you hit
that
the
was.
ground.
First time the F-117 was used in combat, we're 1 minute out. The doors are open. I'm standing in the door. The moon is bright, shimmering. It was beautiful. I'm thinking, oh my God. They dropped 2 500-pound bombs on the beach, right? Because we're jumping down on it. There was a commando school there on Rio Hato. We're getting ready to jump in on it. A minute out, I see the flashes.
Wow.
I'm like, this shit's getting ready to go
Wow.
down.
Yeah.
And then we came on and jumped on it. It was optional. I had my reserve, but I didn't have the pin. You know this pin you put in?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got fucked around and you can't get it out.
Yeah.
I didn't have a safety pin.
You wouldn't have had time to.
Right.
fuck
You
around
can
with it.
jump,
Yeah.
maybe pull that, but I want to get out, get my gun, get ready to go. But I got a broken hand. I'm jumping in the saw. I land hard. That drum of
You had a saw with you?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah.
you're already a big guy. I know you're
Link
like
5.56 ammo is everywhere. So I got this broken hand. I'm trying to get on my parachute, like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to get killed by a Panamanian. Like, you're jumping in, you're seeing tracers flying around. It was a little bit crazy.
yeah.
And you know, I got out of it, and I got a saw, and I got linked ammo everywhere. I'm trying to get in and open it up with this broken ass, swollen ass hand. I was like, God, it was
Stressed
crazy.
out.
It was absolute chaos, but it was a good time. It was
Fun
it was a
times.
good time.
It's a hell of an experience. And for that, you got an awesome Army Achievement Medal, right?
They gave everybody an Army Achievement Medal with a stamped signature from the battalion commander.
Oh,
Like,
that's
good
exciting.
job. And I like to talk about that and contrast that with today.
Okay.
You know, but that was a major event, and everybody probably would got medals out the wazoo, but it was like, you get an AAM. Thank you.
Ended up not being that big of a deal, I guess, from the eyes of the
It was a big deal,
IRS.
coordination, you know.
Yeah.
It was, we had this stuff that happened in Rice Bowl, and then you had Grenada, kind of get JSOC working together. But that's, you know, you need those things. You had conventional forces, now you got special operations, you're bringing SEALs in, you're bringing Delta in, Rangers doing this, F-117's doing that. So to practice all that coordination, that's only America can do that.
Yeah,
And sometimes you got to have these skirmishes to kind of work out the kinks.
sure.
You do a lot of training exercise, so you don't have to, but something is valuable. Every combat action, something valuable comes out of it. And that's kind of what came out of Panama.
You know, the closest thing I ever got to combat was Haiti. We
Yeah.
the birds were running, you know, so Like they were making us take our malaria pills and stuff like that, which I didn't do for whatever reason, even though I was a nerd about that stuff back then. I had it with me
Right.
and I would have taken it before we jumped.
So it gives you crazy dreams and all sorts of
I
stuff.
didn't even know that. I just didn't want the military to give me any
And
crap.
nowadays, yeah, imagine what was in that thing.
Who knows, right? I mean, who knows? But so after Panama, you didn't really get to scratch that itch.
Mhm.
And that was, what is that, 88, 89?
December 89,
Okay, December of 89.
19th.
So going forward from there, you're obviously in the military. Is this where you're trying to go Delta at this point?
I was never trying to do anything,
Okay.
you know, and I was kind of like a tumbleweed that blew in the wind. I never
Okay.
had aspirations to be a Ranger until I saw that guy. I never had aspirations to be Delta until, even when I went through selection, I really wasn't trying to be one.
Mm.
I didn't. It was just something to do, and it was so different. It was so refreshing. You're treated like an adult. You make your own decisions.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Versus basic training or something.
Yeah, and
like that,
it was really felt good, and you made all the hard stuff was good, and then at the end of all the hard stuff, all the physical stuff, you have to go to a board, and I went into board, you know, and they introduce you. You got all these people in there around you. It's a very intimidating, not as intimidating as this, but intimidating. And they ask a bunch of questions, and you say a bunch of dumb shit, and then they leave you. You go out the room, and they're gonna make a decision.
Questions
It was at that moment,
uh,
that was the first time ever that I wanted to be a Delta operator.
after that.
No, I'm standing in the hallway, and I walked out and said, "What the hell were you? Why were you saying that? You were an idiot. Stop! You couldn't. It's
Just
all this
vomiting out.
craziness." And then you leave, and they're gonna make a decision. Are you gonna make it or not? And you're in this little room waiting, little hallway.
Were they like SOP type questions or operational type, or were they more like attitude, mindset
was-
type questions?
I don't even remember. to
Okay,
be quite
okay.
hon- It was the full gamut, and you're asking this, you don't know who this guy is, and he's asking this, you don't know who he is. and
Okay.
Some could be, and it's different for everybody.
I did some division boards in the 82nd.
Same concept, just more.
But they were asking like SOP type stuff
Yeah.
and rules and regulations and stuff
Right.
like that. But anyway, I didn't, obviously I never went Delta. So you go through that process and obviously you get in.
Well, the bring me back in the room.
Okay.
I'm sitting back down, and General Schoonmaker, colonel at the time, famous, and he was the commander at the time, and he was in charge of the board. So he says, Sergeant Lake, we're going to explain to you why we made our decision so that you understand and you can appreciate everything we're saying to you. I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't get in.
It sounds like the corrective actions.
Right. And then he said, we're going to bring you on. And then, so I was going like this, and then boom. But he says, at some point, very soon, you need to learn to stop being a class clown.
Mm.
Like, how do they know I'm the class clown?
Wow.
Like all the psychological tests and all the interviews, and like they had me pegged of who I was.
Wow.
And that's what he said to me. And I said, yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. That's all there is to say.
And then they're super nice and say, welcome aboard. And I was like, oh my God, I made it. So right after the interview was the first time I actually wanted to do it, and it happened. So
Okay. And then from there, do you do some additional training, or you just start working with your team doing?
yeah, you go through, the operator training course. And,
Okay.
And so concept, you can take anybody. They're looking for a certain type of person.
Okay.
I mean, I had guys that were, a mechanized infantry or a mechanic in Germany, or, a cook over here in Louisiana, or a crane operator. It's not what you do. They're just like we're kind of person. And then you take that and then put them through the training process, and that spits on the other end. You've got your highly trained Delta operator.
Now, did you ever go through, was it SEER? Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something you had to go through?
Yeah, but it's a version of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Geared more for us, but same concept, same
Okay.
everything.
Okay. Yeah, that's I don't even remember what that stands for. Search, evade,
Resist and escape.
Yeah, it's basically like if you get caught,
Correct.
there's
How to survive,
some
how
training
to
that they went
evade,
through.
and then when they catch you, how to resist, and then how to escape.
There was a guy I knew back in Fayetteville who you might know the name, but I guess he was an instructor at one of those schools, but he would tell us some of the stuff that they would do to these guys. Like, you're out there in the cage or whatever, they got you, training you to be in a bad spot. And he's talking about, I'm heading to your house tonight,
Right.
stuff like that.
Now
Just to mess with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I did go to
kind of
SEER school. Just want to be completely
okay, yeah,
honest,
yeah, yeah.
but there's a certain version for that's out there.
Okay,
Same concept, so
same concept.
which is kind of crazy because nowadays we're not fighting organized military.
Right.
ISIS ain't gonna let you write a letter home to your mom or do any of this kind
Yeah.
of. You're not escaping. You're not resisting.
Yeah.
They're torturing the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they teach nowadays, but that's a product from, back in Vietnam where you could get captured and following the rules of law and
Sure.
a war and all that stuff. So.
I just have to tell you, and I'm just being honest, like if I ever got caught, I'd be like, listen, guys, you got me. I'll tell you everything I know. And if you push me too hard, I'm just going to start making shit up because I'm just going to,
That's if the Germans got you in World War II.
I would just be that
ISIS
guy.
catches you, you got to save one bullet for yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that makes
you do
sense.
not want to put yourself through that.
Yeah.
I get burned in a cage or, raped it's just what they do to people they capture is they're animals.
Yeah.
Animals.
Well, that being said, I probably wouldn't get captured. It's like
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on my shield.
That's where you went, but here's the one. Boom, concussion. You're knocked out. You don't know. You wake up and change. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But, that's part of being a soldier. I mean, it's part of the gig you're signing up for.
Correct.
You sign up to be a fireman. You might burn in a fire. I mean, it's
Correct.
kind of the same thing. So, but shout out to all the soldiers. I mean, we got to have soldiers, and more importantly, we got to have politicians that value them. So after all that, obviously we're coming into the Black Hawk Down version. General thoughts about the movie. How accurate do you feel the movie was based on your perspective at the time?
It's funny. I'm flat out. My son is on there. He's like, hey, Dad, they got Black Hawk Down. It was crazy. It's funny.
The movie was on or something?
Yeah. Well, they got it, the selection that you can pull.
Oh, on the plane.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Funny story. So Ridley Scott came out with some of the actors, and we had a private screening for guys that were there for the unit. So I went. My wife was 8 or 9 months pregnant, so she didn't go. I went and hung out with some of the boys I was there with and watched the movie. And went home. And she said, hey, how was the movie? And I said, I don't know. Because I'm watching it. They use the same formations, same helicopter, and you're just thinking of stuff. Now there's silly shit like O'Bannon, there's not even a white guy on a bicycle in the car market and all that. There's silliness to a movie, but I captured the theme. I was just thinking back, and it was bringing back so many memories. So I went to watch it with her again. I watched the second time, and I had to ask her, was it a good movie? She said, yeah, it's a great movie. And I always see online people talk about it's top 5. I just can't separate myself from the movie, not because the movie's accurate, but it just brings back, and it just makes me think about shit.
Yeah. I can imagine there's tough spots, and I know one of the things I want to talk about is obviously being a soldier who's seen some real shit. You've had to process and deal with a lot of stuff. I had a friend, George. His father basically did D-Day, and
those dudes are hard.
Yeah, and he could barely get through Saving Private Ryan because it just brought back so much. He's sitting there just.
That movie, you could never do a day of military in your life. You watch that movie, and you would have war stories.
Yeah,
it was so incredibly made. It was an incredible movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of my top favorite military movies for sure. Yeah. Of course, I wasn't there. Of course, I don't have family members that were on the beach.
It doesn't matter. I think they did a good job capturing what that
chaos
was like. Yeah,
and the mayhem.
Yeah.
But so in any case. Back to Black Hawk Down and the movie. So at this point, you're still itching prior to this scenario, you're still kind of itching to be in combat, which I think is a fair thing to say. Like, I would have gladly gone to combat. That's part of why I went in the military.
Right. Why do you practice high school football? You want to play the game.
Right.
That's it.
And so, that being said, we're being deployed over to Somalia. It's kind of I don't want to say you categorize it. It's not really a peacekeeping situation, or was it? Or is it? I know General Adid was doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Right. UN was involved. Yeah. It had been going on. Yeah. Remember the videos of like Navy SEALs coming up on the beach and the cameraman standing there?
Yeah.
Like, this shit's been going on for a while.
Yeah. And it's still a mess over there, apparently.
Right.
Right.
Nothing's changed. And so the U.S. and us, everybody monitors, but our responsibility as a Delta guy is the world,
Mm,
so you're monitoring everything.
okay. And so our main situation in there was to basically go capture a deed or capture some of the people that were creating these problems there.
Yeah,
Is that
so
accurate?
there's a Netflix show on it that they did, which was
Well, I was gonna
interesting.
ask you about that. I heard some shit talking about this, but
Oh, wow, we got a lot to talk about.
okay, yeah, I hadn't
Uh,
seen it.
okay, but they do kind of a good time. They don't really separate, but the U.S. tried to kill all these high leaders together. I mean, this is months before we even showed up.
Okay.
This had nothing to do with us, but the Netflix show kind of blurred the line, I thought. But the UN is there, and then Adid's got his guys, and they're attacking them. They're taking the food that the UN's trying to provide. Like, it was
Right.
just a shit show. The clan fighting, it's a shit show, like it is today still.
You
And
know,
someone had the bright idea that, hey, let's take the nation's premier counterterrorism unit. They're gonna go kill or capture this guy, and
mhm,
then everything will be fine.
yeah.
So,
Well, which someone else would probably just step up and be the next shithead,
right, yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
In my opinion, I could be wrong. Um,
CIA is working something.
yeah. So I just lost my train of thought. So I'll back up here. So ultimately, we're being asked to go in and do some missions as a country, or we're going in there interjecting ourselves to
We
try
were
to.
sent in to kill or capture
Okay.
a deed.
So let me shut up, and why don't you just run with kind of your experience in terms of you get deployed over there. This was kind of our mission. These are some
Well,
of
you
the
wanted
things
to
that
go,
happened.
right? As we were talking about.
Well, I don't even think I
No,
was in the military when this
no,
happened.
I'm
With this,
saying
oh, as a
like,
soldier, yeah,
yeah, like,
yeah, I
and
would have wanted to
so
go.
the one thing that doesn't get highlighted enough, we were a peacetime army. There was nothing. We had Grenada,
Mhm.
we had Panama,
In
you
a
know,
decade, yeah,
right? There's just nothing going on, and you're itching to do. You're trying to find stuff to do. Hey, that's a little hairy. I'll go over there. You're just trying to get yourself into something,
yeah.
and then this rolled along. So, um, General Harrell, our squadron commander at the time, the way the story goes was it was offered to another squadron, but it was a smaller size. Only a smaller size element couldn't take his whole element, and so I don't want to go over there and sit in a hangar and do nothing. And General Harrell, colonel at the time, was like, I'll go. And he got the mission, and then he flexed, and he was able to bring everybody. So
Mhm,
we went over as a full package, and it was innocent. We wanted to go. We didn't really know what you don't know what you don't know,
mhm.
and we quickly found out. But it went smooth. We did 5 missions over there with limited resistance. Every time the intel would give us something, we'd go do the hit, and we'd do it like we're supposed to do it. And oh, he just missed it. Oh, he was going to be there.
Mm.
There is no intel, so we will hit what you tell us to hit, and we'll hit it many different ways. And that's kind of how it happens. So you're a little cocky,
Sure.
whatever.
Is it fair to say maybe before the time frame that happened, what was you remember the operation name?
I didn't at the time, which
Okay.
is kind of crazy. But post, I think everybody says Gothic Serpent.
Okay, that sounds about
Yeah.
right.
it was-
Is it fair to say maybe everybody's a little overconfident going into that?
no,
No?
I
Okay.
just, but we were a peacetime army.
Right.
What we were wearing, like our kit, I got a great picture of me, and I'll share with people. And I go, wow, look at all that tape. We had plastic helmets. We wore skater helmets because we weren't designed to go toe to toe with the enemy. We're
Right.
not supposed to do that. We're sneaking in, we're doing our little thing, we're rolling out, and that's kind of how we trade, and we were equipped for that.
Mm.
But most of the guys they're coming from Ranger SF background anyway, so small unit tactics and all that.
Mhm.
Even though it's um, again, we're not designed for that. So when things started unraveling as they had, we were, you know, you have your experience to fall back on.
Pull you through, yeah. So basically, just without going through the whole movie
Right,
again.
we'll be here for hours.
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, you go in, you're involved in the operation, and what are some of your memories that you'd want to share? Or
Um, I have a kind of a funny story.
and you got the great Purple Heart story. We'll definitely have to get
Well, I
into.
could, yeah. So on the third, we roll in. I was on Super 6-2, where Black Hawk, we were going to fast rope onto the target. Because come in, we fast rope down, go take down the target building. And during all that processes, everything's getting together. We're consolidating the guys we captured. One of the helicopters gets shot down. So that's the first crash of the day.
And that was Super 6-2 that went down?
That was 6-1.
6-1, okay. Was that Michael Durant? Do you recall?
No,
Okay.
he's later on.
Okay.
So we got one crash site. So we
Okay.
got crash site number 1. So actually, I'll be talking about the movie, and because there was all these little things happen, but there's a crash site, so we got to move to the street and go get them.
Okay.
That's our mission. Hey, go secure that crash site. So we're on our way over there, and we get to a house that we secure. Across the street is the crash site, and we take this building, and that's where we're going to spend. That is the furthest limit of advance we're going to make. And guys are spread out all over. Watch the movie, find out. So I'm in a room, and there's a machine gun. Some Rangers with a machine gun outside my window. And I got little louvers here, and it's nonstop. There's shooting, fighting, war, all that kind of stuff. Guys, the dead, the wounded, the screaming, the crimson blood. You're getting the full package of combat. And I was in this room, and I had a window. I was trying to control this street, and there was another window, and they're outside, these Rangers. And so in the book, which is kind of jump around here, but the book by Rob Bowden on that is from a Ranger's perspective. And they're sitting there, and they say, I could hear yelling. So their version is they're taking fire. All of a sudden, this California Delta guy pops his head out. Hey, what's up, dude? And they told him, but the real story was I heard some yelling, open the door, what do you need? Pick out a target. So now we have just done this. So I had taken off my helmet, and I call out to Rick Landreth, my 2IC. It's like, damn, they're putting it on us today, aren't they, Rick? He's like, no, man, we're just going to lure them in, then we're going to kick their ass. And he sent S, lights out on me. So they had fired an RPG at that machine gun position outside my window, missed, hit the wall, did not detonate, punches through. The motor's bounce around, lights the place on fire. I'm unconscious. And they pull me out, and I do a timeout. I got a concussion. They treat me, blah, 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 and I get back to the fight. 2 days later, my troop sergeant major says, hey, we're going to give you a Purple Heart. I said, for what? Because you just got knocked unconscious, treated an enemy, all the stuff. You meet the criteria. I said, I'm not going to get that. Look at this. This guy's got no legs. Look at these dead people. Those are real injuries. And I said, I'm not going to take the Purple Heart. Well, think about your promotion. I'm not taking it. I said, okay. And he went on. I didn't take a Purple Heart. And then that night, they mortared us. And the mortar that killed Matt Ryerson, it hit me in the back of the leg and knocked me unconscious again. And so got flown out of there. And I got my Purple Heart officially. So I could have had 2, but that's the story how I got my Purple Heart.
Okay.
So I kind of earned it. They tried to give me one. I wouldn't take it. And God said, you're going to get one.
All right. We're going to make sure you get one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that thing didn't detonate. And if you're listening to this, RPG is rocket propelled grenade.
Right.
So they basically shoot a grenade, I guess.
So sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it didn't work in that time. So anything else you want to, before we move off the movie, anything else you want to kind of talk about as far as that goes, or anything you'd like to convey with any of that?
Well, so far we're talking about the youth, right? We know that the human brain doesn't fully develop until 25 years old. So kids with trauma in their life, whether you're not loved, you're beaten, you're abused, sexual assault, whatever it is, as kids, you get that, and your brain just kind of packs it away, and you go through life. And if maybe a normal person, you get to be an adult and you're able to talk to a therapist, or somehow you work these things out. But we take these 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, and who's got this trauma that's packed in there. They join the military, and then you just put the screws on it. It's kill, kill, kill. And you keep beating it down, and you're not showing emotion. And everything you do is focused on killing people and being a man, and you don't show it. And this stuff just gets packed down. And that's what we want our soldiers to be. We want these killers. We want these angry guys that go and fucking run through bullets. We want those guys. But then when it's time, when it's over, and you leave the military, you're still that guy.
Right.
You have been deprogrammed, and then you put on a tie. You're sitting in an office and trying to act normal, and you're not normal. But you don't know you're not normal. You think you're normal, and so I was in that cycle for 20 years,
Mhm.
and
Post-military, just dealing with that
mhm,
on a regular basis.
being a government contractor,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Being in office, I was a vice president and general manager at Avex. I had 250 people in this business unit I was managing all over the world. I mean, but I just wasn't right. And it's tough for those guys to be in that environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What type of and again, I'm just thinking if a veteran's listening to this, for example, because one of the things that I think is an absolute tragedy is obviously the volume of veterans that take their own lives, and I have to imagine it stems from a lot of these type of things where they're just not processing things, or they've got unresolved things that are really jacking them up, and they're man's men, they're badasses, so they just keep pushing it down
Yeah,
till they can't take it anymore, evidently.
I think so.
And so what kind of things were you working through that looking back, it's like, wow, when I did this, it was because I had nowhere to channel that, or if you're looking back, let's say you're a manager after the military, what were some of the things that you were experiencing that looking back now, as I know that you've done a lot of work since then, and we'll get into some of these great organizations out there, but what were some of the maybe red flags or telltale signs of someone that's maybe been through the military and they're in the civilian world now? Are there any things you can think of that you would maybe recommend if these things are happening, you really need to work on this and get some help and some therapy or so forth?
No,
No?
I'm telling you, it's weird.
Okay.
What 3 or 4 weeks ago, guy I was real close with back in the day. It's not
Mm.
about me at all. I'm just saying this guy was so intelligent, so full of life, so Garrett. He knows so much stuff. He was such a good guy. Derek Gertis, and like a month ago, killed himself.
Mm.
And I hadn't seen him in 10 years, so it's not
Yeah.
like that. But he was not the guy, and there were no signals. And you talk to the other guys that knew him, and it was like Derek's at the bottom of the list. And like 2 years before that, John Boswell, who I was in Somalia with, and he was my team leader for a while and my troop sergeant major. I mean, and we talked a couple times a year. No indication. Fucking kills himself. And he
Mm.
was the life of the party. So I say no because I was in battalion, going to breakfast. I was sitting down to eat. A guy named Jesse Cates sitting across from me. Finishes the paper. They're like, hey, what's up, Jesse? Hey, what's up? Hey, you went the paper? Yeah, thanks, man. Gets up, leaves. Literally goes upstairs and blows his fucking brains out. That is a 100% true story.
Mm.
It went just like that. There is no indication. Maybe there's some guys, but those 3 stories are
Mm.
real, and there's no indication. Like, what in the hell? And I can't even fathom, like, what is so bad? And I went through it with them. Then I started realizing I'm not normal either, and maybe I got the help I needed, and they didn't. I don't know, but it makes no sense, and I don't see any signs.
So is it fair to say if you're a veteran and you've seen some really horrific things and been through a lot of combat, maybe it's just a good idea to pursue some therapy or some different things to maybe be proactive before something triggers? I mean, is that fair to say? Or
Mm.
and I'm coming at it at a totally ignorant
I'm
perspective.
gonna blow your mind here.
Okay.
It's not it's not the military, it's not the war, it's not the combat, it's not that.
Okay.
It's all attributed to that, but it really boils down to childhood trauma that these soldiers have that have been bottled up and not let out. They don't have a release.
Mm.
And I know we're gonna talk about it later, but I reached out to a guy. I just saw a thread, reached out to him. Make a long story short, he said we could help you with psychedelic medicine. And I had heard about it on Joe Rogan.
Mhm.
You know,
Sean
I
Ryan.
was like, there's never a chance I'm ever gonna get that, but I would love to it. And long story short, I enrolled in this program, paid for it through donations to this organization that sponsored me. And I went down and did a ayahuasca journey.
Okay.
And I showed up as a middle of nowhere. And I luckily, because I didn't have a signal and there was no Uber, or I would have got the fuck out. Like it was I knew I needed to do it, but it was really hard to to submit and give into that. And went in and didn't know anybody, and it was weird. And the guardrails are up. But by the end of that weekend, that that ayahuasca journey, it just fucking, you take it, and this thing's going on in your head, and it's just crazy. And when I purged that night, everything came up. From child, everybody who had ever wronged me, I forgave. Everything I did that was wrong, I got forgiveness.
Mm.
I understood people, what they did to me and why. I had empathy. I was connected to the universe.
Mm.
And all that shit that had been bottled up just all came out on my entire ayahuasca journey. And you talk to a lot of guys. I just saw that Waves to War on Netflix right now about some SEALs who kind of did Iowa game, but same concept. It's not war. It's all that shit. So when you have normal, it's bottled up, right? And you don't know how to deal with that emotion. So it makes you crazy when you get these feelings. You can't process it like a normal human. Like I can cry now. I could never cry before. I'm not crying now, but
You're getting ready to make me tear up.
but that shit's in there. So you got this stuff that you can't process like a normal human, and it all combined, it's just too much. So when you let that childhood trauma out, whatever it may be, it's gone, and you're free and you're feeling light. And now I can sit down and mourn the guys from Black Hawk Down. You know,
Mm.
I couldn't do it for 30 fucking years.
Mm.
You know,
it's
so that I think is what veterans need to know. And people, oh, it's hippie shit, it's this or that. Look, man, do the research. Or why not? It's a weekend and it's free because these organizations will pay for it. Take a weekend, do an ayahuasca journey, do an Iowa game, and just give it a chance. One weekend.
I've heard a lot of positive stuff about. I'm a big Sean Ryan show guy. And,
Yeah.
I know that he experienced some different things. Mike Tyson has done this, and
Yeah.
he talked about how much it helped him resolve. Tony Robbins did this.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tony Robbins is as credible as any human on the planet in my eyes, for whatever that's worth. And so for someone to say he went and did this and it helped him release a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, the VA just gonna hook you on. I mean, I've been on SSRIs for who knows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a pharmaceutical solution. Pretty simple. Go on a journey, get this shit out, learn how to process emotions normally. And it's not a one and done. There's integration work. I like to meditate. I like to do a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But I am a different person. There was a nudge of what you thought, just a slight shift to how you see things and how you connect to people. And it's life-saving treatment out there that shouldn't be going and getting the stigma that it has, you know?
Well, I'm not a huge pharma fan right now, but at the end of the day, do you think that there's intentional stigmas put on things like that because they actually work versus getting you hooked on
And that's
feeding you some reoccurring revenue drug for the rest of your life?
And let me ask you this. It's a spiritual thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dark lights, the music is so powerful. The charity music, it's all this thing together, sharing with your brother. Like you can feel the energy. It is undescribable power. How the fuck is the VA going to administer that?
Yeah.
Right? And there's sterile white rooms. All right, lay down here. The book says you must do. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You got. And so, but how do you prevent quacks from showing up and just, oh yeah, I'm doing ayahuasca, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you quantify like this one works, this one doesn't. There's got to be some way to do it because the VA and the government cannot get, I mean, big pharma cannot get into that space. It's a spiritual thing. It's universal. It's very powerful, and there's no way a government can do it.
There's clearly places that are doing a good job of helping folks out, like you or Mike Tyson or these other people that I'm personally aware of that I've heard of that they just rave about how much better of a human being they are.
Yeah.
Not only their own emotional state, but just higher consciousness being to where you want to love people better. You just want to be a better human.
Right.
This is what I'm gathering from things I've heard.
Yeah. And organization like Coast to Coast is an organization that, helped me out. They funded me. They don't do the work.
Okay.
They raise money. They find the veterans in need. and they know where to go. Hey, this guy needs this. Oh, this guy needs this. Oh, this guy needs this over here. And they put him toward programs that work, because they don't just help support that. There's brain,
Not a
there's
one size fits all.
nutrition, there's a whole, and there's a lot of organizations doing that. And I can't say that they're not doing it. They're probably wonderful. You hear about so many of them, Wounded Warrior Projects and Task Force Dagger and blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of them. But I know Coast to Coast helped me out. They
Right.
funded a program. They didn't do the program. They funded the program that helped me out.
And
And
it
so,
sounds like they had some knowledge and expertise to help get you guided in the right direction.
yeah, that's what they do.
Okay.
You come to me and you're an addict and you're this and that. Well, you're not going to go to the same place that if I came as me. So they know who's going to help you, and they're going to pay for that help to get you what you need. And then maybe you can come to where this, but it depends on the situation of the
Sure.
person.
Well, it sounds like they meet you at your need.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
or
if
they're
they can't
trying
help,
to.
there's so many organizations that are helping, but nobody's, have a Rolodex with a million organizations. So you got to go, these experts know, how can you help?
Sure. So it sounds like you would strongly endorse an organization like Coast to Coast if you were a veteran and maybe you're struggling with emotional stuff, or you don't even know you're struggling. Maybe you're just having a tough time right now.
That's 100% where I would start.
Okay.
Um, yes.
Okay.
Start there and just have a conversation. Now their charter is special forces guys,
Okay.
but they know the programs that aren't.
So
There's programs just for Marines. There's programs for this. There's programs for that. So you got to get in the system. So not a system, but you got to get into the community. So reach out to Coast, tell them the situation, and let's make that work.
So if you're a leg, too bad.
They got them for legs too.
And for anybody watching, a leg is someone who didn't jump out of plane. So we're just making fun of that in a military kind of way, just like when you show up to Fort Bragg or whatever for the first time and they tell you to go to, somewhere to get the riser grease or whatever,
Right. In-flight mortar repair.
flight mortar repair, just send you on wild goose hunts when you're a young, dumb military kid
Right.
that they just know that's over at S4 or whatever. They send you all over.
TREEs.
Yeah.
Quick.
Oh my gosh. So we talked about that. We talked about anything else you want to talk about with Coast to Coast? Because I know you're a big fan. Obviously, I'm a big fan now. Just listening to you.
Well, they do a year. Their big fundraiser is Ride for the Fallen, and so each year they'll choose some people to highlight in honor of 5 or 6 veterans that have died either through suicide or whatever reason, just to raise awareness. And they'll ride motorcycles from the West Coast to the East Coast, and they stop along the way. They'll stop in Phoenix, come to Vegas. They have little fundraiser stops along the way, and it's called Ride for the Fallen, Coast to Coast. Just Google that, and I'll get you there, and
Okay.
you can donate through that. And they raise money and they help veterans.
And I know part of the research I did and kind of getting a little background on you was I saw a speech you did for Coast to Coast, I believe it was.
Oh yeah, in Phoenix.
And that was in Phoenix. Is that like an annual thing they do?
Yeah, that
Okay.
is. And they asked me to come speak, and it was fun. It's cathartic, and that's the other thing, right? I want to ask what to talk about. I love to talk about it. There's nothing I won't talk about. I mean, I'm not on camera, but
Yeah, yeah.
tonight we'll have a blast.
Yeah.
It's not a problem about talking about stuff that you did. It's not being able to be an adult human being with adult emotions, able to process the shit that's going nuts in there. And that's the trick. Can't fix it with meds and alcohol and all that bullshit. Give Coast to Coast a call, tell them your situation, and let them try to help you with some plant medicine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we could stop the podcast right now and I'd be super pumped we met.
But we
today for
can't
this.
because
We're going to keep talking. I'm just saying we could.
Shit.
No, I'm just saying we could.
Oh.
And I feel like we hopefully would make a difference with that.
Okay.
But what were you pulling out of your pocket?
Well,
What's going
I
on?
brought you something too.
Oh my goodness. All right.
This is now. I know I am not a cigar aficionado. I don't know.
I'm working on trying to be
Right.
a cigar aficionado.
But this, Mogadishu was 3 October 1993. So on the 30-year anniversary, there was a cigar. So this is a cigar sealed, never been opened, commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Battle of Mogadishu.
Oh my gosh. Thank you,
So,
Jason. That's awesome.
May never smoke it, but put it in your collection.
Now I'm going to put this in my, I'll probably never smoke this.
Correct.
This is going to be, I love memorabilia and I love all kinds of stuff. This is definitely going to be, I'm going to get a frame picture and put this in there with the frame picture.
Oh yeah.
Need to get you to sign it because I love memorabilia. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're not done with the podcast, but
Okay.
I just saw you going for something here. But
I'm either going to kill you and you're going to go viral.
Speaking of killing, I had the honor of meeting Hoyce Gracie last night. And I know that you've got some experience with Hoyce, and let's talk about that a little bit.
All right. So the way the world works in the military is Delta is the very tip of the spear, right?
Mm.
And so you get money to try a bunch of stuff out. And that's why if something works there, it gets permeated through the rest of the military. Not just the Army, the military. So when you see flip up nods and you're seeing super badass body armor and like all of that, the best guns, the best ammo, the best everything.
Started with
you get
Delta
to
first.
find out what is the best. I mean, we are the best military organization in the universe. I mean, come on.
That we're aware of.
Come on, Mars, we'll take you. It don't matter. So all that, it all permeates from there. And so equipment and like from Black Hawk down, the experience you got from that was we had plastic helmets.
Mm-hmm.
It was really stupid. Now you got good helmets. The guns back. I came back with my 45, couldn't even pull the slide back.
Just so much sand and stuff.
Yes, you don't use the 45.
Yeah.
It worked great as a peacetime. I'm going in an aircraft. I'm going to pop you in the head.
Yeah.
But all that stuff doesn't work. And then it permeates out to the rest of the organization. So having said all of that, combatives is the same way. When I went through in the peacetime Army, we had techniques to handle hostages. We are a hostage rescue organization. We're not fighting people. A guy named Norm Hooten, good guy, famous. They use his name Hoot in the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Because he had a cool name.
Yeah.
I would credit him with single-handedly changing the way the military, not the Army, the U.S. military fights.
Wow. Because
he knew Hoyce Gracie, he knew about his jiu-jitsu, and he brought him to the organization. And when he showed up to my squadron, the first one, I'd say 80% of them, myself included, said, "This is stupid. I'm not rolling around with a dude on the ground.
Right.
I have a gun. I will shoot him in his face."
Right.
But it kept bringing him in and slowly changing, and then started throwing kicks in there and punches, and then started saying, "All right, with your gun here," and it morphed, right? And it became MMA. We were doing it when the whole MMA world was doing it at the same time. And it got so good at Delta that what happens permeates the rest of the Army. And the Rangers doing it. Now everybody's doing it. And that's how you fight.
Yeah.
So I'd say Hoyce Gracie, by extension, Norm Hooten, changed the way the U.S. military to this day fights.
That's awesome.
And I'd say maybe even the world.
Yeah.
So
what's wild is I was at the BJJ. There were 3 World Wrestling, UFC BJJ last night that O'Day, my business partner, got me into, which was cool. But Jocko Willink was there. His daughter, Rania, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. Apologies. But she fought Frank Mir's daughter.
Oh, man.
And so talk about 2 legends, daughters of legends. But Jocko's there with his daughter and Frank Mir with his daughter, and they're in there grappling and going at it. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, I'm sitting here looking at Jocko straight ahead of me, and it's
and Hoyce was there.
And Hoyce was there. I mean, it's UFC. I mean,
I wish I would have seen him, because I don't know if he'd remember me. I got a picture with him, but was grappling somewhere around UFC 2 to 4.
Okay.
That era, he was in the unit. And I remember he came after he had a super fight with Ken Shamrock. Came around Thanksgiving, and he had, Shamrock got him one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got him in the face there. I think it was a draw. I can't remember, but I saw him in the unit, and he had black eye. And it was around that time frame. So it was
bad dude.
Cool. So got choked out by Hoyce. I was pretty proud of that.
Heck yeah.
And he'd tie us up. There'd be 10 dudes, one after the other. He didn't stop.
It's just amazing how those guys can tie you up in a pretzel in a matter of seconds, But that's so cool. We've got a little bit of, it's just coincidentally, I saw, Hoyce last night before meeting with you today.
And let me tell you also, probably on the UFC, the fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything I described to you about me and military guys is the same in the UFC fighters, potentially, right? If a guy, because they got this drive, right?
Yeah.
Army guys got the drive, they got the rage. I got to fight. But then you can't put them in a suit and just let them loose in the public, right?
Yeah.
And concussions, you get a concussion,
Yeah.
all right? It's a brain bruise. It will heal, but it creates scar tissue. The scar tissue cuts neural pathways.
Mhm.
So now something that used to be easy, your body will find a workaround, or maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, so now I got to walk from here to that door. I can still get there, but I got to go here to go there, and now your brain's working hard.
Mhm.
It's hard to do simple tasks. So later in the day, you start getting tired. You're like, because your brain is just working so hard. So these concussions that the UFC fighters get, or any fighter or anybody, a fireman,
NFL. Yeah.
right? You got to get that brain worked on,
Yeah.
Brain health is huge, and concussions aren't just, okay, he's good to play again. There are long-term issues. You're going to have fast track to dementia, Alzheimer's, all that kind of stuff. So brain health is hugely important, and the military is looking at it now.
Yeah.
Where they didn't know how to spell TBI when I had 2 in a row, and within 3 days, I got fixed up with my injury. But no, I sat in a room because they're still there. I'm home.
Mm.
I'm sitting alone all day long, watching TV. My leg popped up, and my wife made me a little thing before she went to work.
Mm.
There was no treatment. There was nothing.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. But nowadays, they got it all worked out. But I said the UFC fighters really need to. I don't know what they're doing. Dr. Gooden now, he has a program. I've listened to a few of his. I got on his protocol about stopping the degeneration of your brain.
Mm.
He's got this protocol of supplements and plasmalogens and all this stuff that
Okay.
I'm on it for a week. I'll let you know in 6 weeks.
Okay.
But his claim and his research and all his clinical studies show that he can stop that and hopefully start regrowing some of that brain that has lost due to concussions and brain damage.
Wow,
And
that's
it's
awesome.
very promising research. So it's a lot of supplements and stuff that I take, but in 6 weeks, the memories aren't lost.
Sure.
They just can't access them. So let's get that working again. So I want to check back with you in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch
I
base.
think it'd be good for the UFC guys specifically.
Okay. Well, I have a feeling we'll be talking on a regular basis if I get my way. The one thing you mentioned is meditation. I'm huge into meditation. How have you found that to help you out? And
It will quiet. And you hear like philosophers like Alan Watts and stuff. It's not about being quiet. There's so many guys with so many different things. But for me personally, just meditating 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it just slows everything down and you can get right with yourself. Because if you just
coherence.
keep going, if you don't adjust, you're going to be in that pattern. So that breaks the pattern. Everything's cool. God has a plan. You don't have to worry about this. It got to cut you off. That's an angel sent by God to slow you down, saving you from an accident 2 miles up the road. You don't know. So just go with it, man. The same energy that is moving the stars and the universe is moving you through life,
Right.
right? So just let go and let it all happen and enjoy and empathy for other people and understand where they come from. I mean, all that stuff is just good. And then you're putting out these good vibrations and it attracts good vibrations. And it's this weird spiritual hippy dippy bullshit, but there's something to it.
The one thing that I'm a huge fan of meditation, number one, and I'm a massive fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'm not sure you've ever listened to his stuff, but I went to a thing. I literally create this. I'm going to give credit. I don't think I've ever said this out loud before. I'm going to give credit to Triumph Cigars, to Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
I went to a week-long meditation retreat probably 2 years ago.
Week long.
Week-long. It was,
Nice.
well, I say week-long. It was 5 days,
Okay.
5.5
Yeah.
days.
That's a lot.
But it was I will tell you what, we don't have enough time to go into we'll talk about it over dinner, but the number one, he brings science into this. So there's people measuring the atmosphere. There's random number generators that when you have 2,000 people that start meditating, the random number generator starts going off in a direction that the people meditating are literally impacting
Wow.
instruments. They're measuring people with all the stuff. I don't know the technical stuff, but they can tell when you're getting ready to have these experiences through high level meditation because they're looking at your brain and heart, your body coherence. They're literally measuring all your waves, and they can tell when everything you were just talking about, you're quieting things down.
Right.
And what happens is if you took someone at the end of a workday, they might have their measurements are all over the place. But when they meditate for 10, 20 minutes, and of course, the more you do it, the better you get at it too, so you can get into that mode quicker, but they can get your entire body into coherence. And by meditating and slowing things down, you bring your body into coherence. Now you're in a creative space.
Right.
You're not in fight or flight. You're not in your analytical mind trying to figure problems out. You're just living in the present.
Right.
And there's so much to meditation that we don't have time to go into today.
But you do have, if you don't do that, that day turns into tomorrow and the next day. And so
5 years later,
you're not breaking it. So
Right.
that meditate 5-minute break, and you're breaking it and you can recenter, right? So
Yeah.
now you sound like a hippie, but you recenter, like, I get my shit together today. All
Right.
Everything's going to be this, everything's going to be good. It's like a mantra, 10 minutes in the morning, get your shit together and set for the day.
Yeah.
And if you don't break it up, those bad habits are going to keep rolling up on you.
So I agree when we talk about like meditation, you think of like some ancient Indian techniques or Hindu or, uh, but I love the fact that Dr. Joe brings science.
Yeah.
They measure blood. They've drawn blood from people before the event and then after the event. And I don't know the medical terms, but like cancer indicators are downregulated
I'll believe it.
at the end of the 5 days. Like there's all these positive benefits of being in that environment. And I can just tell you, coming out of that 5 day thing, I was like, wow, I feel charged. And part of what he teaches, there's a statement he made. It was really profound. He said, most of us, we never live in the present. We're always thinking about the future, which I'm guilty of probably the most, or we're thinking about the past, but we're very rarely actually in the present.
Right.
And to get in the present and slow down and just exist, most of us aren't doing that on a regular basis. So we're never living our life. We're always having forward thinking emotions or negative, past emotions, good or bad. But any case, I really encourage people to get into the meditation. Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Kind of mentioned that earlier was a fine line between letting go.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. Yeah.
Right. Because just like you're saying, you're worried about the future, the past, but you want to be in the present. But how can you be in the present so much and then you become irresponsible?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
a balance.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's I'm sure someone's addressed it, but
yeah. Well, part of what we were just talking about is we're talking about, and I talked about this with a fighter recently as well, because it's a very human thing. There's the Coke kicking in. But it's like when you're an alpha, when you're a go-getter, you want to push and push and push and make things happen. But there is a balance between pushing and pushing and pushing. And hey, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. God's in control. There's some line in between those two things, which I believe is let's call it the zone. It's like I'm doing everything it takes, but I also have peace that whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
yeah.
And it's a fine line, and I think it's something I'm dealing with right now, like waiting on our MasterCard and Visa to get our code to the web guys. I'm like, we're spending 10 to 50,000 a week right now waiting, because we're payroll and employees and ordering new cigars and stuff. So it's getting stressful for me. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm pushing, but I also got to have peace that God's in control. Everything's happened the way it's supposed to. And that's where I woke up and I meditated for about half an hour this morning. And then I've been dealing with a bad back. I think it's largely from stress. So I meditated again today.
Yeah.
And just letting it go, unwinding the best I can. So I think it's a really important thing to understand that, hey, go-getters, we want to make things happen, but there's also God's in control, but finding that balance is so important.
Right.
And it's probably like anything. It's a balance. We can get out of balance one way or another. And we got to constantly look at that.
And be aware.
Right.
And get yourself back to center.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A little meditation.
Meditation, just a regular practice.
Just sit there.
Yeah.
You do it 1 minute at a stoplight. You have your eyes closed, just like It's
Yep, just get center, get that cohesion or coherence going. So now that we are winding down, nothing else getting pulled out on me here, but uh, some fun stuff. Name a artist or top 5 band that you might be, if you had your choice, you're gonna go jump in the truck and throw it on. What's artist like musician or band?
Man, we just saw Red Clay Straits down
Okay.
in South Carolina. Took my whole family. It was magical. It was them and Lucas Nelson. I
Okay.
think I'd go anywhere to see Lucas.
Okay.
But that was a hell of a concert.
They
A
put
very
in a great
special
show.
moment with my family and I.
Okay. That's awesome. What about a movie? Top 10 movie?
Without a doubt, and I've seen it probably a million times, is the first James Bond, Casino Royale.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good one.
I just was, I don't know.
All right. Off the
Cool.
cuff, best James Bond.
It's got to be Daniel Craig, 100%.
I got to go with Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
The first one, when he transitioned, the
he's a
way
bad
he
dude.
came out to be a badass. And
Yeah.
not so flamboyant.
Now, I grew up with Roger Moore.
Yeah.
So
Sean Connery wasn't. He's a good second.
He's a great second. I think you kind of the bond you grow up with is there's a
The
special place.
aggressiveness, the way he could just rip shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool.
And anything you want to wind up with while we're wrapping this thing up?
No, I wish I had that second bottle of water, but I don't know how these things work.
That's
so.
all go. I wish we'd have got one for you.
No, but appreciate you having me on. I think some of that, what you were talking about, there's the in between. It just comes down to wisdom, right? You're not going to tell a 22-year-old hard charger trying to go up the ranks of the UFC, hey, you need to think about longevity. But at some point, you got to start thinking about it. At least the guys transition out, the Clay Guidas and whatnot. Like, hey, man, look into some of these things that are out there. Not all the ayahuasca, but just general brain health in general and things like that. So I think just awareness, and appreciate you giving me a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of wrap up on that note, I've watched a couple podcasts with GSP, George St. Pierre.
Love him.
And
pause. Hey, I'm a big fan of his back in the day.
Are you okay? Yeah, I mean, he's awesome.
Hughes, that's my era.
Yeah,
it was crazy time back then. Loved it.
I'm actually talking to Matt about a cigar. Strange story. I got connected with someone sitting there in a casino playing a table game, and she was a college roommate with Matt. And I literally had the thing of cigars, and it's like that's the universe in my mind bringing things together. But
I think he was the greatest example of bringing wrestling to MMA.
Yeah,
so he was a wrestler, but then he could turn it on, and just that heartland of America.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He
was a bad dude.
He was a hero back in the day.
He's a bad dude. I remember the when he got kicked in the nuts by what's his name, and he just had to keep fighting because the ref didn't see it. And then he ended up choking at Frank Trigg. He ended up choking him out or whatever it was.
Great fights.
Yeah, Matt Hughes is and was a bad dude. Fun fact: GSP, his last fight, Michael Bisping in Madison Square Garden. I've got his jersey at the house here.
Wow.
That he wore. It's autographed by him, and it's framed. I got it from the UFC. That's one of my prized possessions.
It's still in phenomenal shape. I follow him on Instagram.
Oh yeah, he's jacked.
Yeah,
I know what I was going to say before I got distracted. I want to say GSP did ayahuasca. I know he's done a lot of work on ego and things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, is he such a good guy, right? Or I believe he is from everything I've seen. But like, I don't know that he would want to fight now because he's done so much work on ego and different things like that. So I remember thinking, like, this is such great information I'm listening to from GSP, but I don't know if this is the best information for like a 22-year-old up and coming UFC fighter. Like, you might not want to lose that edge.
Right.
So it was really interesting.
Our soldiers need the edge. The UFC fighters need the edge. The firemen need, but when the music's over, there's help to get you out of that.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to wind up the podcast. It's timing, it's there's a reason for the season, enjoy that edge, let it get you to the top for a while. And then just know you got some work to do to level up or level down to a different phase,
transition to the real world.
Yeah.
Your hero time is over.
Yeah.
Go be a normie.
Yep. Well, Jason, we got some steaks waiting on us. Nice. Are you a wine drinker?
I am, sir.
Okay, good. We're going to get some good wine and a good steak tonight. And other than that, thank you so much for making this time. I'm so glad we got a chance to sit down.
No, my first podcast. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and hanging out with an American badass hero. And we'll see you next time on the 5 Things Podcast. Thank you.